Fantastic.
Hey, everybody, we're live. Welcome to the second episode of Spilling the IT. It's a live Q&A with Adam Burke. Today, we're talking about cloud and licensing. I'm Paul Burke, and that's Adam.
What's going on, everybody? Happy
Hey.
Friday. Get ready for the weekend. I'm excited.
Do you have plans? Big plans?
I think a little pool time, maybe a little barbecue,
Nice.
That's about it. Pretty simple.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll give it some time. We'll just give it like a little bit, and then actually, we only have like a half an hour. We'll just like launch right in and let's talk about cloud.
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. So so today in 30 minutes, we're going to tackle everything you need to know about the cloud and licensing, all of it in 30 minutes. If you have questions, Adam will also make time to answer those questions. So feel free to leave them in the comments, and we will address those later on. So not only are your questions getting answered, but we're tackling everything about cloud and licensing. So we got a lot to do. But first, quick question, Adam. How many times have you seen cloud services complimented with a picture of an actual cloud?
It's almost every single time. I don't know where that actually came from. People say cloud services came from the idea. If you look at old like Visio charts, this is the best explanation I've seen. Old Visio charts, you do like MPLS networks and all this kind of stuff, and there'd be like a picture in the middle of it that'd be kind of this like connection between all the different points, and that was like the cloud. So like Visio diagrams, like network engineers used to put all these pictures together, and like you'd go to a mainframe or go to something like that.
Yeah.
That's the only time I've ever seen anyone come up with why it's called the cloud, but could be total BS. I don't know. But oftentimes you always see the little cloud bubble there. Sometimes they're nice little fuzzy ones. Sometimes they're sharp, Depends what kind of cloud you're in. Elite cloud or fluffy cloud. Yeah.
Yeah. Marketers love it.
They do.
Love it.
Marketers dream.
It is. So,
yeah.
Well, first question down. Very important.
Good.
So second question, Adam, please monologue about marketing fluff. We were kind of pre-showing about this episode about cloud and licensing, and you're like, I really need to talk about your frustration with marketing fluff. What irritates you and what do people need to know? But first, so here's what I want, if you'll indulge me.
Sure.
Will you give me a second to indulge me?
Yep.
Okay. So I know we grew up together. Spoiler alert, everybody. We grew up together, and I know a lot about you. One of the things I know, you, huge fan of Braveheart. Is that true?
That's true. One of the best movies ever made. Yep.
Now, very, very passionate speech towards it was the final battle. Very passionate speech. Now, I want you, because you're very passionate about this, I want you to give a very passionate speech about marketing fluff and why it irritates you. Now, of course, we can't go to Scotland and recreate a Braveheart scene, but what we can do is, here's a background. It's Scotland. Did I check? Absolutely. So here's Scotland, and I also have some very dramatic music. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear that.
It's very dramatic Scottish music.
Okay.
Now,
production value is stepping up on this, Paul. I got to give it to you.
Production value. Now, I'm one of your soldiers, Adam. I like marketing fluff. Big fan. Don't think I'm ready to give up on it yet. So what I need you to do is convince me, like the main character in that movie, who I can't remember his name.
William Wallace.
William Wallace, old WW himself. I need you to convince me, marketing fluff, I'm done with it.
Okay. All right. I should have brought my face paint, but here it goes. From a marketing standpoint, we hear this all the time. We've been hearing it, for the last 10 years around cloud services. And I saw something the other day. There's no such thing as the cloud. It's just someone else's computer. And whatever you call it, it's a capability that someone else is delivering. And it's amazing right now because you have the ability to access services all over the world wherever you are, as long as you're connected to the network. So it's 100% an amazing evolution in capability, technology, but it's basically being delivered by a bandwidth, being able to have access to these systems and do the same thing that people were doing back in the time sharing days. It's just the software has evolved and the bandwidth has evolved. And it's not really going to fundamentally change your business if you're not using it for the capabilities that you need to. So awesome capabilities out there, tons of services that are available, but it's not going to change your business unless you know what you're using, what's critical to your business, and basically, what you're doing with it. So cloud services are amazing. You should definitely look into them, but from a marketing standpoint, there's a lot to it, from organizations that have been built for a long time and where they're going and how they're going to get there and how they're going to basically evolve. If you're born in the cloud right now, awesome, that's great. But 80% of the market isn't, right? You got legacy systems, you got things that need to be addressed. How are you going to get them there? That's very, very critical kind of piece of the pie that needs to be talked about. So not going to shout freedom or anything right now, but I appreciate the Scottish, the bagpipes in the background. That was well played, Paul. I was not expecting that.
I'm very impressed. Good speech.
Thanks.
I'm with you. I'm on your side. So
for anyone who doesn't know, Paul also does some improv. So he likes to every once in a while drive me crazy by making me improvise. So hope everyone enjoyed that little improvisation. Is that
no, Adam? That was prop comedy. I was basically Carrot Top right there.
Oh, okay.
I had some props. I had some music. I'm Carrot Top, Adam. I might as well just move to the Luxor and do my show.
More eggplant, but yeah, maybe Carrot Top. Yeah.
So
purple jokes.
Love it. Thank you, Adam. Super. Next question. We don't have a lot of time. Also, if you've joined us, I noticed some people have joined. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to leave questions, you can leave them in the comments. We will answer those questions towards the end. Thank you for coming by. Adam, what are some examples of cloud services?
So some cloud services that everyone's familiar with, we were just talking about this a minute ago. Netflix is a cloud service. Apple Music is a cloud service for consumers. Anything that basically is hosted and available on demand for a subscription is some type of a cloud service. So in the retail space, you got things like Netflix, Spotify, Apple Music, all those types of things. In the business-to-business space, where Quest and our company operates, cloud services can be things around supporting a client's infrastructure, hosting their applications, servers consumed as a service with either VMware or Microsoft. You have things like Amazon and AWS. You have private cloud environments. You have DR as a service. Anything that's basically subscription-based, accessed across either a private or public network, and delivered at in a consumable monthly recurring charge can be considered a cloud service. Some big ones that people probably hear about in the marketplace all the time are things like Salesforce and Oracle Cloud and all that kind of stuff. But really there's tons of hosting options out there, tons of organizations going private cloud. Those are some examples of cloud services.
So you mentioned private versus public, which I think is kind of really important to kind of to explain, because I think cloud. I think a lot of people, when they think cloud, they're like it's accessible anywhere by anybody. So what is public versus private?
So a public cloud, or it's called multi-tenant. So basically, you got an infrastructure that's in a data center, a bunch of servers and storage, and some type of hypervisor layer that's basically a virtual server that's basically cutting up those resources and making them available to lots of people, right? So you want to subscribe to that, you want to buy into that and put your applications and your data there. It's available, you point to click to have access. We're presenting this over a public cloud service right now. It's accessible, right? It's available to whoever wants, very, 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 very seamless. There's some limitations on it though, because it's built to scale. Right, so public cloud services are here are some parts and pieces, and hope you like them. And here's what you can build with that. You can do all sorts of cool things there. Private cloud Private cloud is more of a method where you use those same parts and pieces that build the public cloud, but you segregate them and you separate them in a way that delivers that same level of capability for one company or one business or one organization at a time. So, if you're working in the public sector, for example, we support a lot of public sector, state of California, other organizations. We support aspects of technology around the country. And some of these organizations want us to basically put private environments for them together, but it's the same concept as public. It's just a dedicated instance for them, consumed on the same monthly basis. So you're still paying for those resources on a monthly basis, but your socks and your laundry aren't mixed in with everybody else's in the public sphere.
Okay.
So,
thanks.
Yeah. It's really the same parts and pieces. There's really nothing fancy about what the underlying technology is. It's CPU, right? It's your compute, it's your RAM, it's your storage. And then what do you have that's on top of that? What's basically using those resources? And then how are those resources either spread across a huge environment supporting tons of users, or maybe segregated to support one or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Adam, what is a software as a service offer?
So software as a service is really it's a version of cloud services, but it's a specific capability or a specific service offering. So it can be as simple as I want to subscribe to this accounting software, and I don't want to install it on my local machine. I want to be able to go to a web browser, open it up, input my data, and have something come out on the other side. So you're subscribing to that. You say, okay, it's $10 a user per month for access to this software accounting server, or this software accounting platform. Software as a service is really one that a lot of people are familiar with. That almost everybody in a lot of the IT market, a lot of people are probably familiar with, is Microsoft 365. Right? Microsoft a few years ago really shifted very, very successfully to a software as a service cloud delivery model. They took all of their licensing. They used to, you used to have to buy your Windows licensing and your operating system and put it on your machine. You had to buy Windows, you buy Excel, you buy all these different parts and pieces, and you install them on your local machine. What Microsoft successfully did, and their stock price reflected it, was they figured out a way to take what everybody used anyways, right? You had Windows operating system, you had Excel, you had SharePoint, you had all these different services. They found a way to basically make that a subscription. So when you go to Best Buy and you buy your own computer and you want to buy Windows, you can't buy Windows anymore. You have to subscribe to it. So they created that software as a service. Everything that you consume now in the Windows world as a consumer, or in more and more this way in the enterprise, is a subscription service. Software as a service. You're subscribing to the ability to create a Word document. You're subscribing to the ability to create an Excel file. And the cool thing about it is, from a Microsoft standpoint, is there used to be these things like, hi, I'm from Microsoft and I'm here to check out your licensing. I'm here to optimize your licensing. Basically what that meant was they're going to audit you and charge you for all the software you've been stealing for the last couple of years by not paying Microsoft for the service. Mm-hmm. You can't do that anymore. Every license that is in existence and operating is calling home and basically reporting on the fact that you're using it. So if you want to continue to have access to that software, pay the man.
So I get from Microsoft's standpoint why that's such a great thing, software as a service. For the user, what are the benefits on the user end software as a service?
So software as a service, so let me put on my marketing hat for a second, is it gives you the ability to consume things on demand very quickly without having to maintain and operate that package on your own devices, and keep it patched, keep it updated, keep it optimized. You used to have to install that software, right? So you had your widget and you brought it into your systems, you install it, and then you'd have to basically maintain it. They'd release a patch, but you'd have to be the person to basically keep that updated, right? You patch Tuesdays back in when Microsoft patch Tuesdays would go out, everything would break. That's still going on, but for a lot of it, the provider, Microsoft, is taking care of a lot of those updates on their end. They're patching that as long as you're subscribing to those automated updates, those pushes, you're being handled by that.
Got it. Yeah, so, and if you're not patching, then you're vulnerable to whatever.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. You got all sorts of vulnerabilities you gotta stay up on, but software as a service really kind of it takes that maintenance and operation out of the equation, because you're not maintaining the underlying server and computing infrastructure that's supporting that software operating. You go to like down.com every once in a while, you hear like, hey, Office 365 went down in this region, or Google meetups went down in this region for a reason. There's down.com because people used to lose their environments in an isolated way, right? If your server crashed locally and you had your Exchange, your email hosted on that local server, well, your email is down, but Bob's down the street, his email is fine right now. Now you're in a software as a service world. If the internet goes down, or if Microsoft's having challenges or something happens, everybody who's subscribing to that service can be impacted. So there's a little bit of there's just different risks and benefits with all of it. It's on demand, it's available. The underlying infrastructure is not your responsibility anymore. But you still gotta operate, and you still gotta deal with things breaking. Okay. It's not perfect.
Well, thanks. Yeah. And thank you for referencing last week's show. Now people will go back to watch that to feel like they understand even more of today.
Yeah, it's a river. You can only step in it once, Paul. Is that deep?
Deep? No, that's very deep.
Pretty deep for Friday.
Didn't think they were coming for Braveheart. They didn't think they were coming for deep wisdom. They thought they were coming for cloud and licensing info. And what a banquet. What a buffet of ideas and thoughts.
Oh, we gotta rethink this Friday afternoon thing. But we're good.
I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. Let's go on to the next one. Adam, what should I consider before using a cloud computing platform?
Great question.
Thanks.
The story I love to tell here is, how are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? We've had lots of clients who've gone through the process of evaluating different cloud providers, reviewing who fits and who doesn't, and kind of going through the pricing exercise. We had a long-term client, been a customer request for multiple years, and sat down with us, and they had a cloud provider's proposal on the desk and said, here we are, it's $18,000 a month. This is what we're going to go into. We are going to be hosted in this environment, for the next 3 years. And we looked at it and we just said, hey, well, how are you planning on getting there? And everyone kind of stopped and like, well, isn't it included in the monthly recurring charge? Could be. Turned out it wasn't. So one of the things you always got to evaluate is, how are you going to get to the cloud provider? How are you going to migrate your environment? If you're starting out a new company, this is an amazing time for entrepreneurs and people who want to try things, fail fast, all that kind of good stuff. You can turn up databases and resources lightning quick with this kind of stuff. But taking legacy systems that are on premise and migrating those to the cloud, that's something you definitely want to evaluate. You want to figure out, okay, how am I going to get from point A to point B? That includes everything from your applications, like your ERP or your CRM or your patient health records or whatever you have locally. How are you going to get that database? How are you going to get those people? How are you going to get your users to access that cloud platform? We talked a little bit last week about identity. Same rules apply. How are you going to have your users identified on that cloud platform so they know who's accessing it? And then, how are you going to secure that cloud platform? How are you going to secure that hosting environment? There's a lot of misinformation out there right now around the idea that just because a hosting provider goes through different types of security, just because a hosting provider has different types of certifications. It doesn't necessarily mean that by moving your environment in there, that you're now in that same boat. There's a huge misunderstanding in the market right now around things like FedRAMP and HIPAA. And by the way, for anyone who asks, are you HIPAA certified? Please let me know the organization that certifies HIPAA compliance. Just let me know that one. It doesn't exist. It's marketing. But anyways, so PCI compliance, FedRAMP, any of those things, they're frameworks of security we talked about last week. But just because you move your environment into that hosting environment and everyone wants to feel good and safe, how are you going to secure that environment in there? Like we talked about last week, evaluate that. As things become more convenient for your users, they can also become more vulnerable for being exploited, right? It's just, hey, it's convenient for your users, great. It's also convenient for people who want to take your users out and take your stuff. So just same kind of concept. You want to be aware. So.
And I don't know if you can see it, but I put up a little graphic that says hot take. Because
hot take.
You were mentioning your the HIPAA compliance. So
yeah. You see there's cool little emblems, and it's really neat. They're really pretty. They're like little emblems. They kind of go on websites. It's like HIPAA compliance and PCI audited and ISO blah blah blah. And the big four and people like that make millions of dollars in that stuff, and it's awesome. And God bless them for doing that. But it doesn't really necessarily, at the end of the day, it's not going to save you. It's just it'll make you feel good. It's like
and they got a cool little badge, and they got a cool little emblem.
It is good, and it is good to be aware of those types of things, and those frameworks are very, very, very important because they can give you an understanding of, hey, where are we? Where do we need to go, and what do we need to adhere to? But there's two ways of playing king of the mountain, right? There's one way of being effective and climbing to the top. There's another one by basically blocking people who are trying to compete and come up. And oftentimes, a lot of those regulations and a lot of those things that are put in place to block competitive people from coming in and helping, support end users. So just be cautious of that. It's the game. It's a game.
King of the mountain, hard to win. Never was good at it.
You're pretty good at it.
Was I good at it?
I don't know, you're a big kid.
Well, that's true. I was a big child. Well, let's keep moving on. Another hot take.
Hot take.
Adam, let's get real. Let's open up. What are 3 simple things businesses can do today or tomorrow, but if they have the weekends off, Monday?
All right. Yeah. Well, in cloud services, definitely evaluate what cloud services you're using today and what subscriptions you have in place today. Do an evaluation of the capabilities you already have available to your firm, and maybe where you're spending your money. There's a great book that came out a little while ago. I think it's called Consumption Economics or Consumer Economics. I'm blanking on it now. But it was basically the idea of incremental costs being added to subscriptions and to services, and it was promoting to the managed services community, things that we do about how you transition from selling hardware, one-time transactions, to selling incremental services over time. So you get a contract for a service. Microsoft, Amazon, all the big guys are classic on this. You get a contract for a service and you add incremental costs. So as a business, check out those incremental costs, do an evaluation. What are you already spending, money on? People used to call it shadow IT, right? So like you have a bunch of Dropbox subscriptions you didn't know about, or, a bunch of licenses that maybe you didn't know about. Do an evaluation of that. You can bring in a third party to do it. Quest does those types of audits for folks all the time, and there's lots of good partners out there who do that. So I'd take a look at what you're spending. Next thing I do is what capabilities can the cloud actually, bring you? What's it cost you to do nothing? Oftentimes, in IT, there's the biggest competitor that we have is often, well, we're gonna stick with the status quo. We're gonna do what we've always done. And that's okay. But as business leaders, as people out there evaluating what it costs to maintain your operations, take a look at what that cost is. We did that for ourselves, I think last year when we decided to transition some of our certain in-house services to subscription services. The licensing game had changed around maintaining some core assets on premise, and it saved Quest, I think, about $150,000 to migrate certain services to a SaaS model. Just evaluate that. Okay, what does it look like here? What does it look like there? And what am I really being? What's the benefit to doing this differently? So,
do you find a lot of businesses they don't do that part, like the evaluation? They just kind of make like quick decisions, or like just like say no really fast without like considering it. They kind of go with a gut instinct. Like, what do you find a lot of?
There's different. I mean, there's a lot of cloud first initiatives. Like, hey, we're going to go to the cloud because someone read it. Everyone jokes about this. You go to an expo and you probably hear this joke like 4 or 5 times. Like, hey, the CEO or the CFO read a magazine and saw it said, we got to be cloud first, and all those buddies at the country club are going cloud and all that kind of stuff. So the IT people are stuck figuring it out. Understanding what the cloud's actually going to do for you as an organization, and what it actually is going to tangibly cost to get there, or to migrate there, or to operate there. Those are reality conversations. Those are conversations about, okay, what is this really going to cost? How are you really going to plan on doing this, and how are you going to execute? One of the reasons our company's been successful over the years is because we do have those reality conversations. They're not always pleasant. A lot of people don't want to have reality conversations. They kind of want to go along with it. And yeah, we're spending money here, and yeah, we could optimize here, but it's really uncomfortable to change that. And it's probably different than we've done before. So we got to do something a little different. And those reality conversations about why are you making this decision? Why are you adding this subscription, or why are you buying this gear on premise? What's the point?
Do you think a little bit of it is like the sunk cost, that they've put so much time in this one system or this one way of doing things that they're like, well, we should probably just stick with that because we've already invested so much time?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a theory out there. We don't subscribe to it, that you can go in there and convince someone to do something differently,
which always goes great.
Sure. It could. No, there's definitely an angle out there that some organizations want to go in and do like total cost of ownership. And I was taught as a young kid that liars figure and figures lie. So anytime I see a total cost of ownership calculation, great. It's a spreadsheet. You can put whatever numbers you want into anything. A lot of people don't include soft costs. A lot of people don't include labor. A lot of people don't include loss of productivity due to a new implementation. There's a ton of things. You can manipulate the numbers any way you want to have them prove your point. So those types of exercises, I in my opinion, they help validate. They make people feel good about a decision, but it's one piece of the pie. You got to really dig down into what you're actually trying to achieve.
As a child, I remember hearing the phrase "follow the money" a lot. I feel like we didn't grow up in a regular household. I wouldn't say those are like super common phrases that you hear from a lot of parents. Follow the money, son. Oh, okay. I mean, great, very true, but
hey, you made a ton of money, selling water out in front of the River Cats games in high school. That's true. That was a very lucrative business for you. That was good.
Yeah. Follow that money. Oh, it's great advice. Amazing advice. Yeah. Just, when you say that to one of your friends, they're like, what? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Not a lot of 11-year-olds running around being like, look, guys, we need to follow the money.
Oh, yeah.
On we go. Aren't you glad you're doing this show?
I am so excited about this right now. I cannot tell you. This is just as an introverted person, this is just fantastic. Yeah, This is great.
What are 5 questions? What are 5 questions to ask your cloud service provider? I can't spell. I said serve.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are 5 questions to ask your cloud service provider?
Do you use spell check? No. No. So, main thing is you got to kind of understand what type of cloud provider you want to work with. You want to work with, we have a technical consultant on our team. He has a great analogy when he walks through this with people. He's like, hey, do you want a regional bank type of a feel? Do you want a community credit union type of a feel? Do you want a big multinational, large enterprise bank kind of a feel? What kind of a service provider do you want, right? So, you can have hyperscaler where you can have the, huge assets, things all over the country available, at any time, but no personal interaction, no customization necessarily. You can call into certain providers and maybe you actually don't get a person on the phone. So ask, hey, how are my services managed, right? And then what you really want to get into is what are the service level agreements? What does it mean for ownership of data? Who has access to my data? Who has access to my environment from a management standpoint? What security frameworks do you adhere to? Kind of put them through a little bit of the Q&A session of, how do you operate your business? How long have you been doing this? How many clients do you have? How many times have you kind of been through this type of a deployment before? And people will give you different types of answers. What we believe and what we typically respond to that is, the building blocks approach, right? There's a ton of different parts and pieces that go into cloud services. One of our first large cloud services was VDI. It was very successful around desktop as a service because it was a very complex environment. So, taking those parts and pieces, how do you deliver something custom? Can you deliver something custom? And then also from a service level standpoint, what happens if it doesn't work? I asked that question on a call this week and kind of got crickets on the other line because we were chatting about a migration. We were chatting about, hey, we're going to move from this location to this location, and it's going to be great. And I just kind of threw out the question, well, hey, what if it doesn't work, right? What's your failback plan? How are you going to, how can we help you guys, manage that transition? And that's, again, that real conversation of, getting involved in the execution. One thing is, walk me through when you're talking to a cloud service provider, walk me through, how we would execute onboarding, right? What's kind of your onboarding to the services? How do we do that? One of the largest cloud services that is growing right now is, people call it UCaaS, Unified Communications as a Service, right? So, think legacy VoIP, right? You got the Avayas of the world, you got the Ciscos of the world, you got the Mitels of the world. And then you have the cloud service providers, the RingCentrals, 8x8s, Fuse, Jive, tons of UCaaS providers. Talk to people who have gone through a transition, and talk to those cloud service providers. How are you going to get from on-premise PBX or an on-premise voice system to the cloud? That's a big move. All of a sudden, all your phone calls are going through another provider, and hopefully you've mapped that out correctly, because that can be a very, very challenging transition. So talk about how that onboarding is going to happen, how that plan is going to happen, and get comfortable with the idea that, it's going to be in flux for a little bit. And how's your organization going to deal with that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
I should have added this to our little ticker.
No, that's a cool little thing.
Right? If you have any questions or need help, you can always reach us at questsys.com or our 916-338-7070.
New website too. New website went live this week.
It looks good.
I like it. Yeah.
I like it too.
Yeah.
They did a great job on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're coming to the end, but first, Adam, our most popular segment. Well, it's not true. I don't know what's our most popular segment, but what TV shows? What are you watching?
Right now, watching Fear City, about the mafia. Yeah, Fear City is pretty good. It's kind of cool. I love mafia movies and mafia stuff. So watching Fear City, and then with my girls, we're watching, actually on your recommendation, Beastmaster, old Beastmaster episodes. And I just want to say that the South Koreans commentator has the best like dead face stare the woman, like when her contestant fails, it cracks me up every single time. It's like the most judgmental, like you failed look that I've ever seen in my life. It's fantastic.
It's like her soul is leaving her body because she's so sad.
So disappointed and so like very disappointed. So yeah, it's great. Yeah. How about you? Oh, dude, Umbrella Society came out. So
I know.
I
know. Netflix told me today. They're like, "You want to watch this? We know you do." And Netflix knows me, so we're gonna probably watch that tonight.
Yeah. And
what have I been watching?
We got to parlay the Quest Umbrella service into the Umbrella Academy some way. We got to figure out a way to tie the Quest Umbrella service package into the Umbrella Academy. But you know what? Actually, that's probably bad because no, never mind. Disregard. Sorry, Netflix. Never mind. My bad.
What am I watching? Well, I finished The Last Dance. I finally finished a documentary about Michael Jordan.
Oh, cool.
That was really good. I like that a lot. The intro music. Have you seen the documentary?
Yeah.
The intro music. Love it. So good. Watch that. Still working on A Good Place. It continues just to get better and better.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying that. And so I'll say this. There's a little show. It's from Cartoon Network. I don't know the ages for it. I'm not going to look because I don't want to feel bad about myself.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Hey.
This is Adam and Paul Burke.
No, watch the Bear Bears. Have you seen the Bear Bears?
No, dude. No.
It's hilarious. It's very funny. It's geared for adults, Adam.
Dude,
I know it's geared for adults. I'm making a joke, but it's totally for adults. It's very funny. It's about 3 bears living the life. They're all best friends. I'm telling you, Adam, you got free time? Watch the Bear Bears.
Oh God. Okay. Well, this was great.
Should we see if we got any questions? Let me check it out.
Any questions?
No questions. Because Adam, you did an amazing job answering all the things about.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good deal.
So
good deal. We're gonna edit that bear part out, right?
Are we? I don't think so, Adam. I think if anything, people are gonna be like, "Oh, I do need something uplifting and funny. I'll give the Bear Bears a shot." After Fear City, you're gonna need it.
That's true. Okay.
That's true. Well, it's been fun.
Good
Adam,
times.
any final thoughts?
No, just appreciate everybody stopping by, checking this out. And like Paul said, if you ever need any help, questsys.com or, give us a call. Appreciate everyone stopping by and saying hello.
Yeah. Again, this is Spilling the IT, and we will be back next week, Friday, 4 p.m. with an all-new episode if Adam does not decide to quit this because he's like, I can't work with this guy anymore.
Nah, this is good. See you next week.
Cool. All right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.